Hi folks, happy January. So far no snow, but there's talk of snow coming in the next couple of days, but we wanted to get this podcast out to you. I'm here with Matt Shea and we're having a very good day, although things are crazy around here. We had a wonderful time this past Friday with Poetry Out Loud at the high school. I want to thank the judges who came in and judged the competition, as you'll see in one of our slides, and also the students who did very well. Particularly Sydney, who won the competition overall and moves on to Morristown. We also have two young men that we're going to talk about in a little bit who did some automotive competitions and did very well, learned it on their own. I want to give them a shout out. And of course our mock trial team competed last Thursday evening and this Tuesday evening, and we're wishing them the very best. And finally, you're going to see next our DECA students, and Ms. Davino is interviewing them and talking about the great program that they're involved with at the high school. So let's take a look at what the DECA students had to say about their great program.
Greetings, my name is Karen Davino and I'm the Superintendent of Schools. As you know, Dr. McKay puts together a podcast for us here in Vernon on a regular basis. However, I've been trying to contribute to that by having a superintendent spotlight. So when I recently heard about the success of our DECA students at Vernon Township High School, I was so excited to have the opportunity to sit and speak to them. I will say that we do not have the full DECA team here because there are many, many individuals involved. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But they just came back from their Northwestern District competition and really came back with some wonderful accolades, and I'm super excited about that. So I have Dan, Brielle, and Ryan with me today. Ryan is the president of DECA, Mr. President. We're very excited to speak with him, as well as his student colleagues. So before we talk about the competition, can the three of you think about maybe why you chose to join DECA? What are some of the things that you enjoy about participating in DECA, and maybe some of your current or ongoing projects?
Well, I mean, I joined DECA, maybe not for I joined DECA because a lot of my friends were doing it, and it's a really popular club here.
It's a good reason.
And then it turned out to be so much more. DECA has become something that's really shaped my interests. Going into high school, I really looked at myself as more as a sciencey person, and I love math, love science, but now I'm looking to go to college for finance.
Yes.
And DECA really shaped that and made me realize more of the pragmatic and practical aspects of education versus all the theoretical and conceptual stuff.
Good for you. That's excellent. And that's such an important skill, because as you're thinking not just about college but beyond, you want to think about what you love, and you want to think about what's really going to give you satisfaction and gratification as a worker, because eventually you'll be in the workforce. So what else would the two of you perhaps like to share about DECA?
So along with what Dan said, I joined more because my friends did it. My brother was the president last year, so he got me into it. It's just an easy way to get involved in not just the high school, but our whole entire school district as well. And as what Dan said too, I was more of a sciencey person until I got into DECA, and I started getting more interested in the business aspect of things, and that's why I want to go to college for health services administration, so get the more business administration part of health facilities. So yeah, that's why.
And Ryan?
I also joined DECA because a predominant group of my friends was in DECA. But ironically, I started high school wanting to do business, and now that I've done DECA, I know that even though I am good at it, I don't necessarily want to make a career out of it.
Okay.
I'd much rather do something with science.
Good to know, right? So all three of you talked about kind of the social aspect. So what's your approximate number of members in DECA?
We have
80?
about
80?
81.
81.
81 to 90.
Yeah, that's quite a large number of students for our high school, which is really, really wonderful. So part of the reason I wanted to talk to our students is that if you're a parent or if you're a child in grades K to 8, think about the opportunities that you will have in joining DECA. So talk to me maybe a little bit about things that are happening, maybe the projects that are going on, and then of course about the competition.
Well, DECA is involved in a ton of community stuff, whether it's at Vernon or high school or just in the community in general. Yeah. And we do things such as Harvest House, where we run a dinner to accumulate money for food drives, and we do things such as Keith Hawkins for the freshmen at Vernon Township, where basically the seniors and upperclassmen of Vernon reach out and try and connect emotionally with the freshmen to kind of welcome them into the high school.
Like a mentoring program.
Exactly,
That's
like a
wonderful.
mentorship.
Yeah. What other things are ongoing for you?
Well, I know for right now, personally, I'm doing a chapter project with my two partners, Katie and Mike, we partnered with Jenny DePaul for her Project Kind, and we got our whole school district together. Like, the high schoolers made sandwiches while the younger grades got together and they decorated paper bags to put the sandwiches in. So it's just like that as well. Like, it's just one thing of getting our whole community together through DECA to help make a change.
And these sandwiches went to feed the homeless.
Yeah.
So
Up in Penn Station.
So you feel like you're really making a difference.
Yeah.
Which is really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about the competition. So since you're doing all these wonderful service projects and they're really surrounded around, some philanthropic endeavors and really working with the community, but you talked about business and science. So tell me a little bit about the competition. What does it look like? Is it exciting? How do you prepare? Let's talk a little bit about that. Ryan, why don't you start us off?
Well, it starts off with dressing for success. You have to wear a suit and tie. It's a very professional environment.
Good.
And you go to do a role play where you put yourself into a business environment. You have a prompt, and you have to speak to a judge one-on-one and go through what you would do if it was an actual situation. And you have 2 of those if you're individual, and those scores go, and if they are good, you get to move on to states, which is essentially the same thing but with higher stakes.
And there's also professional selling, which is what I did this year, where you prepare ahead of time, because I know a lot of kids, they get nervous going in and winging it, but professional selling is when you prepare a presentation ahead of time and then present it to a judge. It's kind of like role playing, just you're prepared in advance.
Right. And if you are a newer DECA member or a freshman and perhaps you're a little bit nervous, are there supports from upperclassmen? You don't have to take the lead, I guess, on a project?
Freshmen, generally they're in the Intro to Business Management courses at our school, and they're a little bit detached from our advisors, Mr. and Mrs. Flannery. However, we try to do a good job keeping them in touch. There's events called principal events at competitions.
Okay.
And these are events that are basically easier, more watered down versions of what you can take on later. And these are only offered to first-year DECA members.
That's great.
To make it so they have more of an easy transition.
Sure, so it gives them the exposure to what they'll be doing later on.
Yeah.
So what about last piece about the competition? Any significant awards or recognitions you'd like to share?
Well, our chapter this year had 20 people move on from the district competitions up towards states with, I believe...
That's amazing.
We had 5 come in first place.
Yes, 5 in first place.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
We did... the number of people we had up in the higher place or lower place numbers, like 1st, 5th, 7th, all these things, increased drastically from last year, and we have really good quality
Yes,
competitors
quite
this year.
high rankings, and I had heard about your success, and I was just so impressed. And I think for our audience members and for the people watching at home, obviously we only have 3 members here out of 81 students. But as you can see, the preparation and the things that they do in DECA really help prepare them for public speaking and being prepared for competition or for college applications and interviews and all the things that go along with what happens when you're getting ready to graduate Vernon High School. So if you are thinking about what you want to do when you get here up to Vernon High School, you should really consider DECA. Obviously, it's a wonderful social opportunity to be with your friends. I really love the service aspect of things. And the other piece that I think is so wonderful is that the 3 of you have been really honest about, not really knowing your true path until you go through your high school experience, which is really so special. So thank you so much for joining us for a special segment with our DECA family for the Superintendent Spotlight. Have a great day.
No ornamentation on this podcast. It's January. But again, we're appreciating the lack of snowstorms and the good weather so our students can come to school and do great things like this. Friday, Poetry Out Loud. Here are the winners. Congratulations, ladies, on the great job that you did with the Poetry Out Loud competition. To your right there is Sydney Sparta. Sydney will go on to the regional competition at Morristown. If Sydney wins there, she then goes to Trenton War Memorial for the New Jersey competition. And if she wins there, she goes to Washington, D.C. for the national final competition. So best of luck to Sydney, and congratulations on her amazing skills. Also, you have a picture here of the winners and also people who qualified, people who did a great job with the competition. Here are the judges on the left. You see Marianne Kasher, Colleen Drake, and Dee Franklin. and also Alicia Pollard, from the class of 2015. Thank you, judges. You look fantastic, and you did a great job judging our students. So it was a great day overall for all of our students, and that's them wearing their medals. We had professional development. We had our teachers into Walnut Ridge, and we did an extensive study of reading fluency and guided reading and small group instruction, and also some research comprehension strategies. We're concerned about this part of our child's education and making sure that all of these things are done so that they get the best education, particularly in reading and decoding in grades K through 4. So this course was designed and prepared by our reading specialist, Christina Krops, who's up there in the front of the picture, Rebecca Walker, who's writing on the board, and Stephanie Q. And our interventionists, Kim Sakopoulos and Noelle Lethbridge, helped as well. So congratulations to our teachers for all of their hard work. This is a very important aspect of being a modern education system, is making sure that we're all on the same page, doing best practices in our classrooms, particularly for reading development for our youngsters. We have Division I news. It's amazing. Our infielder catcher, Natalie Alheidt, has just committed to play Division I softball at St. John's University in Jamaica, Queens. So congratulations to Sydney and her, Natalie, and her family, including her sister Lydia, who's in the picture, and of course, Mom and Dad. So a great experience. Okay, look at these two young men. These two young men took on an automotive competition, self-taught. They're in our CFM program, and they're great students in the construction facilities and maintenance program. But this is what we're talking about. They trained themselves for this program and then entered a competition and did very, very well. So Alex and Andrew, congratulations. What we'd like to do next week is have a conversation with both these young men to talk about what it's like to be in the CFM program and also the alternative educational routes that some of them are working on. But, I mean, here's the information on that. There was 48 teams of 2 students competing against each other. There was 50 multiple choice questions. Only the top 20 scores advanced. Following that, there's 5 hands-on the stations in which the students were completing tasks, advanced level material on the cars. And again, our young men were amazing. What's most impressive about Alex and Andrew is finishing 6th is that they were not in an automotive program like vocational students. They're self-taught. So congratulations to them. Hopefully next week we'll be able to sit down with them and talk with them. Coming up this Friday, we have a 40 Development Asset Workshop for parents. That's at Cedar Mountain from 9:45 to 11:15. If we can get this podcast out quick enough, people will be available for that, but it's also on our website. Mrs. Gebhardt is hosting it, and of course it's run by the Coalition. Mock trial team. Now last Thursday and this Tuesday, they are in competition over at the Sussex County Courthouse. If you're not familiar with mock trial, the way it works is some of the younger people act as witnesses. Sometimes they're jury members, and the older students oftentimes are the lead attorneys for either the defense or the prosecution. And there is a case that they study. They all study the same case, and our prosecution goes against their defense, whatever team they're playing against, or our defense goes against the prosecution of another team. They are judged by judges from Sussex County, and they have elimination matches until they get to the finals, where they were crowned the mock trial team of the year for the county. So they're in the early stages in which they're in their first competition. So good luck to our mock trial team. On Tuesday, the 4th grade students at Lounsbury Hollow had the privilege of participating in a New Jersey assembly presentation. It was fact-filled, and the students did a great job. We're very, very proud of them. And, of course, this was a generous donation by Mr. Dana Ziegler, and Michelle Van Allen, of course, spoke. But the students were involved in every aspect of it, and they saw visualizations of all the information that they have learned from their 4th grade curriculum. So thank you to Dana Ziegler for sponsoring this, and thank you for Michelle coming in to talk to the students. So You see the great things that are happening here. We're proud of our students. We're proud of all the programs that they're doing, and our teachers are doing a wonderful job with the students. I just want everybody to be aware that on Tuesday, February 5th, we're going to have our next community meeting where Ms. Davino, myself, Mr. Kepnes will be talking about the budget. Matt will be there, of course, filming, so you can watch it from the comfort of your own home. But we are talking about the cuts that have come from the state and how important they are to funding education. So please join us Tuesday, February 5th at 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium so that we can go through this with you and make sure that our community is on board with all the changes that have happened in education. Okay, thanks and have a great weekend.